Joining us now is Alex, and we're going to be talking about his book. It's more than a book, actually. It is Survivor Aron's Story. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
We got to meet, as I would say, in the real world, because sometimes the guests fly in from all over the world and I only get to meet them here on set. But you and I got a chance to meet at an event, and I was so inspired and so moved by your project. So this is your book, okay? And it is Aron's Story, Survivor Aron's Story. Who is Aron to you?
So I arrived to the United States in the late 70s with my family. We immigrated from the Soviet Union, from Odessa, Ukraine. Aron is my grandfather. And throughout my childhood, he always shared his experiences of growing up in the Soviet Union and his experience, especially during the Holocaust and World War II.
What happened then?
As we all know, the Nazis wanted to occupy and take over much of the land in surrounding Europe. Romanian Army were allied with the Nazis. They actually occupied Odessa, Ukraine, and began to force people out of their homes, out of their apartments, especially Jewish people, collect them all, put them onto cattle cars, take them outside of their cities into rural areas, lock them up into barns and buildings, force them to work. And eventually my grandfather did experience his parents starving to death and dying of disease.
I'm so sorry. So Aron, this book, Alex, this book, A Survivor's Story, walk us through this. Who is this meant for? Who would want to read this? And then what have you done with the book?
So my grandfather Aron gave an interview to the Shoah Foundation in 1996, founded by Steven Spielberg. I took his interview, his testimony, and translated it into a storyline, which I then adapted into a graphic novel memoir format. This book is really meant to educate the next generation of readers. The format is half the book is half a graphic novel memoir, and the other half are all the historical context summaries, so that anybody can learn about this history, hear from an actual survivor and his experience, but learn about all the puzzle pieces that led to that time of history.
The artists that are involved, it's a very collaborative effort. Can you talk to us about that, about the illustrations?
Sure.
So it's your words, well, it's your grandfather's words, plus more. And so tell us about this graphic novel.
So the graphic novel depicts my grandfather's story exactly as told in his testimony. The interesting backstory is that I've partnered with a team of artists in Romania. They learned a lot about their country's history that wasn't taught in their schools by working on my project.
Now, in addition to the book, what have you created? Because now this book has also come to life for people.
Yes. So originally I adapted the content of my book into a multimedia presentation that I've taken on a roadshow, and I've presented to educators, students, and a variety of community centers. I took that multimedia presentation about a year ago and converted it into an interactive virtual museum that anyone can visit 24/7 free of charge. It's a supplement to the book, and it's really an educational tool for teachers and communities to visit and learn about this time of history.
Now, Alex, you work in technology now. What has the response been from the people that know you to see what your small idea keeps growing and growing? What has the reaction been?
The reaction has been amazing. A lot of praise from people I know, colleagues, but also about half a year ago, my interactive museum received a Webby, which is considered the Oscars of the internet. It was received an honoree for the interactive space, and it's now being utilized in curriculum, the book, and the museum itself in a variety of curriculum.
What can we learn from then that can help people today?
It's very important to study this part of history. It was a pivotal point in humanity. A lot of things that I talk about in this book is not necessarily mentioned in a lot of other Holocaust materials out there. The precursors that led up to that experience, the propaganda, the eugenics, the pogroms that happened all over Europe against the Jewish people. A lot of that needs to be studied, not just specifically about Jewish people, but that there have been other genocides since the Holocaust. And perhaps if enough people around the world know about this history, study it, they can help prevent future atrocities. One of the most important things to learn about is propaganda. We still see it to this day through our modern day media, and a lot of people don't necessarily recognize it as propaganda, but it's out there and it's making a huge impact in a negative way.
Thank you for being my guest. And today, every day at the studio, it's always something going on, and but it does not compare to the travesties of what other people have lived through. And I think by being mindful of the stories of other people's journeys, as I shared with you, I was just up in Ithaca, and I was speaking to a refugee, and she was, born in Vietnam, and she had to escape on the boats 3 times, and she was born just 3 years before me. 3 years before me, and how different my life and my journey is compared to hers. And I think that's another life lesson in this, Alex, is that when you look at what other people have gone through on their journey, the little things should not matter, right? The little things, the things that we get frustrated about and things like that, it's like, really? It's like, get over yourself, right? So I think that this book is important for that. And it's also important life lessons, that can last a lifetime for people. It's important. It's important what you did. This is an important literary work. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you did this, because it takes a lot, right? Many hours, a lot of funding goes into this. How can people help support you with this project?
So they can visit the website by going to survivoraronsstory.com.
Okay.
It's Aron with 1 A. There's also a link on the website for the interactive virtual museum. It's free of charge to all the public. And my ultimate goal is to adapt this into an animated feature film. So that's something I'm working towards, and getting it into curriculum to as many schools and libraries as possible, so that people can learn about this part of history and help prevent tragedies in the world, but also have empathy for their neighbors.
Yes, compassion and empathy. Those are 2 things that I think are rarely happening these days. Thank you, as always. And I'm so glad we got to meet in person. And thank you for accepting my invitation to be here. It's my little way of trying to make the world a better place. So thank you so much. Very, very, very much. Please, if you can, go visit the museum, no matter what faith you are, no matter where you are, from any country in the world, please learn. Thank you for watching.